Right. Um,
I didn't mean to cut you off, but
that's no
I think
problem.
we're live.
It was a pretty boring story, to be fair, so I don't blame you in the slightest. Do
Hello, hello.
well, weekly wisdom. So yeah, I won't tell you the boring story that I was about to share with Erin because clearly she didn't think it was worth listening to, and we are now live. So hello and welcome.
True, it's true. It's
It
not
is
true.
true. Yeah. Um, how are you? How are you getting on? What's been going on for you this
I
week?
am fine and dandy. Thanks so very much for asking. It's Tuesday and we're back to some sort of feeling like it's normal with the children at school and getting back into work and doing lots of prep for the coaching series next week, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Um, and just doing a little bit more building out of the She Awakens program as well, which has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's
has. It's
been
been, I feel like we've really started to take some really big steps forward, and certainly really excited to share what we've been creating this morning next week with you. So, shameless plug, early doors, me, sign up for the coaching series. The other thing is that it will be available in the group. So actually, even by just being in the group, you will have access to the recordings and stuff like that.
yeah.
The advantage to signing up is that you get either the gorgeous Erin or the lovely me to be your mentor or team leader for the week. So we'll actually touch base with you, check in with how you're finding the content, find out what it is that you'd really like to sort of get some support on, answer any specific questions. So you get a heap more if you do actually register. So, and I think Erin put something about getting some sort of special secret invite that I'm not invited to. So you've got that as well.
I didn't say you weren't invited. I just said don't tell you about it.
Yeah, well, I'm coming anyway, so
yeah. I'll run a couple of card sessions Sunday and Monday for anyone who is signed up officially on the emails. So yeah, that's just it's a little bit of fun more than an incentive really, but it'll be nice to have some people along and some new faces and some familiar faces, and I'm looking forward to it.
I think we've had some interesting conversations as well this week. We've had some real deep and meaningful. I was sharing with Erin. In fact, we were just talking about it just now about the 9/11, the 20 years since 9/11, and how interesting it is looking at it from 20 years past. And I remember where I was when it happened, but I don't remember a lot of the stuff afterwards. And I was saying, I was 21, I probably didn't have a lot of interest in anything really, other than, myself at that time. But I think I was watching an amazing program on, I think it was on Bravo, but I think it's actually on various other channels as well. It's called The Memory Box. And they interviewed people a year after it happened, and then they re-interviewed them 20 years later. And I think the thing that really just, there were a couple of things that really stuck with me. One was this, like in the interviews the year on, there was so much hope that that change was going to happen, that this was going to be a defining moment in society, that we were going to, that division and that anger and that hatred was going to be used for some good. And it just made me feel really sad that 20 years on and we're still really, that hasn't changed, that hasn't been an outcome of it. But then, as well as that side of it, just hearing these stories of hope and beauty and the compassion and the ability to forgive and the ability to be able to make a life after something as tragic as that happening just gave me such hope in humanity, that there is an opportunity for us to use events, whether they're like truly awful on a global scale or even just things that are a bit shitty for us on a day. There is always the opportunity to use them to be able to move forward in a more conscious, in a more aware manner, so that we can actually start to make changes, and that in 20 years time we're not sitting looking at the same picture anymore. And I really believe that as women we have such an important role to play in that, because we're able to see things at a different level. And if we, the work that Erin and I do and the work that our amazing people in our audience do, if we can come together and if we can find a way to supercharge that work, then that really does inspire me to to know that things will be different for our kids and for their kids. So yeah, it's been quite a reflective few days actually, for me, around a lot of that stuff. And yeah, it's interesting. It's been an interesting couple of days.
Yeah, me too. I mean, obviously for us and our generation, 20 years on from 9/11, really is the majority of our adulthood. We didn't really know as adults the world before 9/11. And I think in some ways the progress that has been made in some areas and the lack of progress that has been made in others is a little bit of an indictment on the generations that have come before us, but also on our I guess lack of willingness and for our generation to challenge that. And I think the time has come where it is really time to challenge the generations that have come before us, the ones who have shaped the society that we have now. And when you do look at the situation and you look at the people who have risen from that with resilience and hope and love at the core of what they do in the world, the world needs more of that. And I'm all in on being part of that. I think it's a really beautiful legacy to create for the people who aren't here to create it for themselves.
And I think there's a sense of responsibility, actually. I think we have to start to, we were talking about it yesterday, and I said sometimes it just feels so difficult. It's like, how can we be the change when we're, thousands of miles away? We're two people together. How does that work? And you just said it so beautifully about how, by creating space to have these conversations, by creating the space to talk about the stuff, you allow people who might be, whether they know it or whether they don't know it, who are thinking in certain patterns that are very much designed by the patriarchy to keep us small and quiet and well behaved and allow them to continue to control the way that they want to. If we can start having conversations that allows people to question everything, question what they believe, question what they know to be true, question everything, and then to start to challenge that. And even if it's just on a tiny scale, even if it's just having a conversation with 2 or 3 people and one person walks away with an opportunity to approach things differently next time, then they carry on. And it's kind of like this almost underground movement. And we've been talking a lot about this when we've been creating She Awakens. And it feels like it's a movement. It's not just a program. There's heaps of coaching programs and, mental programs out there, heaps of that. And they do amazing work and they're fantastic. If you want to learn to, know yourself better, there are 1,000 different ways of doing that. I firmly believe that. But what Absolutely. We're creating is a movement. It's about doing things differently and being fucking brave with that. And I think that's what it kind of came down to. That's what I've really taken away in this work that we're doing, identifying the spaces that we know from our own personal experience, from our journey to, 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 10 years ago, wherever it started. And anyone who's watching, wherever it starts for you, whether it's even started or you're just taking the first step, we've been there. We've been through the awkwardness, the uncomfortableness, the deep knowing that things need to change, the worry that you're not going to be able to do it, the fear that you on your own isn't enough. And I just want to say it here and now, like that. Those feelings are completely and utterly normal, and we want to help you and support you in that, whether that's working with us directly or just being a part of this group, whatever it is. Like, we are here to hold your hand during this movement, because things have to change. Like, we cannot allow the world to carry on the trajectory that it's on. I'm sorry, I'm soapboxing. I totally didn't mean to.
It.
But
love it.
There you go. That's it.
I mean, we asked the question in the group the other day, like, who is ready to be part of the change? And really that is why we are here. That is how this business, this movement, this thing that Ellie and I do every day, how that came about. how it came into being was that we both just felt so strongly that change is necessary and that we have a part to play in it. And so, you know, if you feel that, if you feel that rising within you, that there is something you are supposed to do in the world to move things, to change things, to shift the paradigm, and the way that we see the world as it stands now, and you know, you want to explore what is possible, or you want to be part of that, reach out, and you know, we'll get on a call with you and have a chat about it, and what part you want to play in it, and how we can support you to do that, because it really is the absolute thing that gets us out of bed in the morning, and the thing that keeps us awake at night. And it's such an important...
my 2.5-year-old that keeps me awake at night.
But your 2.5-year-old is a large part of why you want to make that change. So, you know, it really is in the core of our being. That is what we believe we are here to help women with, is to be part of that movement, be part of that change, and to create a different world, one that returns us to a place of power, a place of balance. And I guess that's the perfect opportunity to kind of introduce what she is, right? So we set the intention. Yeah, like it was all planned.
I totally told you I was going to soapbox it up beforehand, didn't I? Oops.
I mean, I'm kind of used to that, so yeah, sure. Yeah, no, we're here today. Like, this is our weekly wisdom session. We come in every week to talk to you about what we do and what we know and what we want to share with the world. And today we just wanted to talk to you about She, which is the process that we use inside She Awakens, funnily enough, but also the process, I guess, that we're going to dive into a little bit next week in the coaching series. And it's really the process that we have lived and breathed and worked through ourselves, and the process that we know changes who we are and how we engage with the world, how we interact with the world. And so we just wanted to talk a little bit about what each element of that is, and why it's important, I guess, why we think that this is the process that is the game changer for us. And so I'll hand over to you, Ellie.
It's a really interesting process when you actually start to sort of unpick where you were and where you are now, and actually identify what it is that you've done, because I don't think we always realize that we actually have gone through a number of steps in order to get to a space. So the steps that we're talking about is She. So it's self-mastery, followed by healing, and followed by expansion. So what each of those mean, and I think probably the easiest way to do it is to provide like a little bit of an example. So we'll be going into it in a heap more detail next week. So this is, you know, if you haven't signed up, do it, because this is the sort of stuff we're going to be talking about. But it's taking a specific something that you want to work on, you know, whether it is your fear of failure, whether it is overwhelm, burnout, which is what we're going to be talking about next week, and it's applying these steps to it. So the self-mastery is all about looking at you internally. It's understanding what exactly you need to know about the situation from your point of view, as well as what do you need to know about how society has created your point of view, because a lot of what we believe isn't necessarily what we believe, it's actually what we've been told we need to believe. So starting to be able to unpick all of those elements. So self-mastery is really, it's about understanding those shadow elements, those pieces of you that you've hidden away, that you don't want anybody to know about. It's about knowing those belief systems. It's understanding your core values. What is it that you really stand up for? It's about being able to understand the different energies at play. Like, you know, how are your feminine and your masculine energies showing up? What are the elemental energies showing up for you? It really is diving deeply into understanding each of those parts of you, so that you're able to have a really good understanding and a picture of where you're starting from. Because until we have that awareness and that knowledge, it's really difficult to do anything about it. We try and do it with sort of like, oh, I know I feel a bit this, and then we go off and we wonder why the fuck we don't get anything sorted. It's because you haven't got a full picture. You've got, as I was doing a puzzle, a beautiful Frozen puzzle with my 4-year-old the other day. It's like when you haven't got the edges all done, it's really hard to then put the middle pieces in. So this is kind of creating those edges. It's creating the basis of the picture so that you can really start to work through and understand more about what it is that you need to heal. Is it something that you own? Is it something that you've been through, that you've dealt with, or is it something that has been passed down from a generation? You know, is it something that's, you know, it's gone through your mother's line? Is it, what is it? And being able to do that allows you to then move into the healing space and be able to do the work to actually allow that to heal. So whether that's the letting go of it, the forgiveness, we talk a lot about, you know, the need to understand, you know, I call them the big three: guilt, blame, and shame. I mean, those three are so present in so much of the crap that we carry, that if we can learn ways to acknowledge them and then let them go, take the lesson from it, it's a really powerful way to be able to move forward. And then once you're able to heal, and once you're in that space of, you know, understanding the, you know, the wheel of the year as well, like the natural cycles, how can they be used to support that healing? Like, where are you in them? And I'm going to hand over to Erin and she's going to expand on all of this, but I'm just getting it out whilst I'm on a flow, because otherwise I'll forget. And then the last piece is the expansion. So once you've done once you know what you're talking about, once you've been able to heal it, then like your opportunities are limitless. Like you're able to do whatever it is that you want to. It changes everything. But it's not a one-off cycle. It's, you don't do it once and like tick and I am done. It's a process for like all the things that all of those things that come up for you. Like it's something that keeps going. What did I miss? Because I'm sure I missed heaps in that, but hopefully I got the vague framework.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was anything vague about all of those words, but I think the in terms of like breaking it down and making it really, really simple to understand, self-mastery is about that process of knowing ourselves. Like the whole reason that she is a process and she is something that we need to embody and really work through as individuals and as a collective, is that really to be able to make the change that is necessary in the world, to be able to stand in our power and say, this is the contribution that I can make to that. We really have to know ourselves, like who we are, and trust ourselves in every situation. And so the she process is built around those blocks, really. So self-mastery is about knowing yourself. It's about knowing where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, where the challenges are, how much of that belongs to you and how much of that has been inherited or handed to you. And it's really, you know, obviously I take a quite a different perspective to Ellie on that. And, you know, she talks a lot about the ego and intuition and the inner critic and the inner mentor and that type of stuff. For me, it's a little bit more about understanding, I guess, the other things that are at play. So it's, you know, a little bit of astrology, a little bit of human design. It's a little bit of Akashic records and soul contracts and things like that. There's some ancestral work in there. There's all that kind of really beautiful, I guess, if we frame it in the way that what Ellie does with you is she gives you the frame for the house that you are, and she starts to, you know, like she builds the walls and she shows you what the structure looks like, and then I come along with the you know, the energetics and the spirituality of it all, and we paint it and we make it look like you, and we start to understand, you know, why this color is on that wall and why this door is this way, and those sorts of things. And so, you know, we start to build up a picture between both sides of the equation that say this is who you are, and you get to know yourself really intimately. And once we do that, then we know what needs to be healed. And that's why we step into the H, the healing, is that we are looking to really examine the things that don't serve us anymore. One of my mentors used to say, the wānanga is done. And wānanga is learning, and it really is like the learning is done, and it's about learning how to let go, learning how to forgive, that big three that Ellie talks about, really working through some of that stuff. And for some of that work, that's not about us as individuals. Sometimes that's about us as part of an ancestral lineage, or it's part of us as a society. But it's really deep, sometimes painful, sometimes uncomfortable, but always rewarding work. And so the healing part of it really is about diving into that space of saying, what do I need to carry forward? What is necessary for me to have in my toolkit, my backpack, my medicine bag, whatever you want to call it, and what isn't necessary, and how do I let that go, honoring myself and honoring others in the process. So it's a really, it is a really challenging part of the process, but it's deeply worthy of being done, and something that will change everything when you start to do the healing work.
And I think with that challenging work that it certainly is, doing it as a group, being a part of a group of people, a group of women who are going through the same process, is it adds a different dimension to it. When we do the work on our own, we're carrying it all ourselves. Well, we've got our spiritual support that are helping us out, but a lot of the time it feels very heavy because it's ours. We're having to carry that load. When you start to, and I think this is what Erin and I have really realized working together, is when you start to work with other people, they help carry that load. They take a little bit of the weight of it, and so that actually it's not so heavy, it's not so difficult, and you get to do the same for other people. So it's this really beautiful space where you actually not only get the support from others, but you are able to support others. And one of the things that I say to Erin quite a lot, and she says back to me, is that I can hold the belief in you, I can hold that for you for as long as you need it me to, and I will give it back to you, because when you are ready, you're going to own it and you are going to live it, and it's going to be amazing. And I think that is what it is like when you're working with other people. They get to help you out, they get to hold the bits that are just too heavy for you at the moment, but that deep in your soul you want to hold, you're just not ready for it. So I think that's something that's really important with that healing process, that when you are going through it, it feels very vulnerable, it feels very sort of, it can feel quite scary to think about sharing some of your deepest, darkest thoughts and stuff with other people. But what you tend to find is that the first person who's really brave in the situation shares it, then everyone goes, oh, thank fuck for that, it's not just me.
Yeah. And I think the other thing around that healing process, I guess, is that there are collective wounds. There are wounds that that we need to work together to heal. But I mean, I always come at it from the perspective that really the end result that we're looking for when it comes to healing work is to be able to see us with our best friend's eyes, and to be able to show ourselves love and compassion in a way that we would expect from our best friend, or from our sister or mother, or whoever it is that nurtures that that little girl inside of you that just desperately wants to be loved and accepted. And that's why that's the like part of the process, if you like, because it is about learning to embrace every part of you, learning to be okay with not being perfect, or being something that other people get to define. You get to define who you are, and then you get to learn how to be completely okay and loving towards that version of you. And so that's the healing side of things. And then comes the expansion, because when we've let go of all of that stuff that doesn't serve us anymore, and all of the things that we carry from other people, and all of the things that are holding us small and keeping us back from where we want to be, there's so much space to bring in newness and more, and all of those things. And if you've ever sat and really felt like there is supposed to be more for you, but you just don't know where it is, or what it is, or how to get it, there's every chance that the universe is holding it for you until you've done that work to heal. And and create space for what you are here for. And the expansion space is really about learning, like really learning to trust yourself, really learning to, in every situation, stand in your power, own your truth, share what you know to be true for you with the world. And this is that, that purpose space. It's the space where you're like, I believe that my purpose is this, and I'm here to share that with the world, and I'm here to do it unashamedly and with confidence and power. And when we expand into that space, and when we hold space for others to expand into their power, then we become unstoppable. And that's ultimately what we want each of you to feel, is that you're just completely unstoppable and unshakable in your truth. And so that's the
if we're going to if we're going to see the changes that we haven't seen in the last 20 years, we have to be unstoppable. We have to not be willing to be quiet and sit quietly at the table and not stand up and shout on our
exactly. But but we can't do it as individuals alone.
It would be so fun doing it on your own. I have way more fun doing this work with you than I ever did on my own.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Hopefully that means you'll keep me around. But we can't. It's that old tug of war sort of analogy, where it's like, if everybody is just pulling for their own effort, there's nothing coordinated about it. It's so much stronger and more effective when everybody gets together and says, right, ready, pull. Right. And that's when you see the shift. And that's what this is about. That's what this work is about. That's what Awakening the Wise Woman is about saying, like, we need, as women, to collectivize. We need to get together and do the work as individuals and as a collective that prepare us. And then we need to say, right, ready, pull. And everybody needs to come together and make the change that is necessary. And I firmly believe that all of us have within us the power to be able to be a huge part of that. So I'm going to get off my Ellie's soapbox.
And I know. I didn't realize I'd sent one down to Dunedin. No, I totally knew that because you're on it this morning. I love it. I love it. The more soapboxes, the better. So basically, that's a little bit of a bit of information about what it is that we believe is the process that works to be able to make change in your life. And we'll be basically using that process next week in terms of dealing with burnout and feeling overwhelmed and just really stressed. So it will be really talking you through the steps and the process on how you can really combat those feelings and be able to move past them. So it's going to be a really cool week. You'll get heaps out of it. I was going to promise to not be on my soapbox, but I'm not going to do that because it's kind of fun. So
plus, I don't think you need to go about breaking promises just quite yet. But
I know, I was like, I can't say those things because I definitely wouldn't stick to it.
But yeah, I mean, next week is an opportunity to see the process in action and to be, to dip your toe into that work and see what it looks like for you. It is, of course, though, the major structure of our group program. And so if you're sitting there nodding your head at the moment going, yep, all of that makes sense. Yep, I get it. Yep, I need that. Then don't wait till next week to reach out. We have got space available this week to talk to a few people about the program and what it looks like and whether or not it's the right fit for you. Honestly, we're not here to try and convince people to work with us. Like, you will know inside yourself whether or not we are the right fit and whether or not we can help you with what you need. And if we can't, absolutely still reach out and let us know what it is that you are looking for, because we're connected to other people as well, and we will gladly send you on the path that you need to be on if it's not with us. But yeah, it's exciting to be able to start sharing this work with you. It's something that Ellie and I have put a lot of love and energy and time into, and we can't wait to start really diving deeper with some of you and supporting you, because there are some phenomenal women in this group, and we've already connected with some of you, and others we're just starting to reach out to and get to know. And we're grateful for all of you. We're grateful for what you're doing. We're grateful that you're wakening up to that, I guess that knowing that there is more that needs to be done and that you want to be a part of it. And yeah, if you're ready, we're ready to help. So reach out and have a
Say
chat.
hi.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, we must continue with our to-do list. It is long, it is very detailed, but it is very enjoyable. And yeah, all of what Erin just said about reaching out, you know, we really do want to. This isn't just a program, it's a movement, it's a complete way of life. It's changing everything. And if that's what you're ready for, then get in touch. If you're not, totally fine as well. So just, you know that we're here, and we like talking, so feel free to hit us up for a chat.
Clearly we like
Look after
talking.
yourselves. Happy Tuesday wherever you are in the world. I think it's, and hopefully if it's still Monday, have a happy Tuesday, and we will catch you later in the week. We'll be popping in a fair bit this week because we've got lots to share about, talk about and share with you. So yeah,
amazing, beautiful. Have a great day.